It's time for Facts Are Facts, and there's big discrepancy in what we think about recycling and what we actually do about it. While 85% of Americans believe we should recycle, only 32% are actually doing it.
That's the reality.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for that. Not every community has affordable curbside pickup for recycling, and some people just don't want to be bothered with all the sorting and the cleaning.
Yeah, so how do we get better? One way to get people to recycle is to just hit them in their wallet. Starting next year, the city of Denver is actually going to charge you all, the residents there, for trash pickup, and they're going to make recycling free. So we got Grace Rink, the executive director of the city of Denver's Office of Climate Change, with us to talk about how this could possibly work.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
The big question, Grace, is if you offer recycling free and you pay for trash, won't people just put their trash in the recycling bin?
That's what I'm worried about.
That's a really good question. And actually, it's not just recycling, it's also composting. So all of our customers right now already have a trash cart and they have a recycling cart, and there is no charge for that. But recycling is picked up every other week. And so under this new program, we're going to be picking up recycling and composting every week. And one of the things that we're hoping is that by picking up recycling every week, people will have more space in their recycling bin so they won't have to put it in their trash bin, or they also store a lot of their recyclables for our monthly extra trash pickup, which goes straight to landfill. So we think that that will help a lot. Now, you've asked a good question. Why wouldn't people just put their recycling in their or put their trash in the recycling cart? I think it's on us to do the education as to why we need people to sort their waste properly. But frankly, right now, our customers and the city's customers are all single family homes and small apartment buildings up to 7 units. We are capturing over 60% of the recyclable material in their homes right now. And so I think our customers know how to recycle. They're doing it right. We just need to give them even better infrastructure to continue doing it.
So how are you going to determine the cost? Is it by the weight of your trash? I mean, it's just me and my husband. Jordan has a family of 5. Are we going to be getting charged? And you said single family homes, but how much trash per home is going to vary?
That's an excellent question. So actually the way that our program is set up is that each customer will get to choose their size of cart. So the smallest trash cart is 35 gallons. The next largest, the medium size is 65. And then the largest is a 95 gallons. So you as a customer, you'll get to choose the size that works best for your household. But we like to point out 50% of the material that goes into our trash carts today is actually compostable. So that's yard waste and food waste. And we're going to be giving our customers a composting cart at no charge. So if we can educate our folks as to how to use that composting cart properly, it'll really cut down on the volume that they need to put into their trash cart. And so we think that the smallest trash cart will work for a lot of households. And I'll just say I have a household of 5. We make all of our own meals and we have the smallest trash cart and we never fill it. Never.
Interesting.
So when you talk about the education, I think that's the hardest part, educating people what is recyclable, what isn't, what is compostable, what isn't. How do you go about that? And how do other organizations or trash companies or cities adopt this idea that you're doing to make their residents understand what's right and what's wrong?
That's really interesting. I think that I think it's actually easier to educate people about composting than it is recycling. Composting is pretty clear. If it was once alive, it can go in the compost. And so that's, again, food waste and yard waste, but it's a behavior change. It's a change in your household, right? Having a compost container on your countertop and then actually making sure to put all that waste in the cart. The recycling is harder because of how our manufacturers declare their products to be recyclable or not. But in many communities, so many of those plastic materials are not recyclable. And we put all the onus on the consumer to understand that difference. And so I think we do need to work at with our state legislatures to ensure that product manufacturers are being honest about whether or not their product has an end use, or if it simply has to go to landfill. And I think that if we do more of that, it will be much easier to communicate with consumers about what can and can't go in the recycling cart.
I think this is a great program, by the way. I love that you're giving, everyone everything you need, and then it's just putting it in the bin. What about businesses and how they factor in?
That's a really good question. So in Denver, like in most cities, our service only picks up from single family homes and apartment units or apartments up to 7 units. And so the private sector, that's all offices and large apartment buildings, they are all picked up by private haulers. They do their contracts on their own. And in Denver, we do not have a citywide recycling or composting requirement. There is a ballot initiative that the voters will get to decide on this fall, which may create that. There are other cities that do have recycling requirements citywide. But again, those companies work with private haulers for that service.
And do you think we could use a program like this outside of larger cities? I mean, thinking other side of the Rockies, right? You go west. I don't know what Grand Junction does in their specific city, but could you do it in more of a rural spot and have other cities, maybe even outside, obviously, Colorado, adopt this same style? Because honestly, there's some of those communities that don't even recycle at all.
That is absolutely true. Actually, throughout Colorado, there are many communities that don't have recycling. So our state legislature actually passed an extended producer responsibility law this past year that is going to collect dollars from manufacturers to deal with the waste that their products create. And that money is actually going to go out to communities throughout the state to help them create recycling and composting programs in places where they don't exist. So that's at the state level, and we're really looking forward to that program getting started.
Sweet.
Yeah, Grace Rink, Executive Director of City of Denver's Office of Climate Action. I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on. I was always told never to
assume.
To show off and tout and be like, I'm better than you and this sort of thing. But
I've learned that too, but I've noticed that's changing a little bit, especially with like philanthropy or something like this.
Okay, so I'm going to do what I'm not supposed to do. We actually have 2 bins for recycling in our house and 1 bin for garbage.
Oh, you do?
We do.
2 recycling bins.
Well,
do
you know the ones that pull out, yeah?
Oh, yeah, in your drawer in your kitchen.
Right, so it has 2 things there.
Correct.
So we have both of those for recycling and just 1 for trash.
Knock 'em up.
Thank you.
Nicely done.